everyone. Welcome to our third town hall. Thank you all for joining our journey as we work to release Give 3.0 and one of the most exciting features, the Visual Donation Form Builder. A few quick housekeeping notes before we begin. Please feel free to use the chat function to ask questions. Our moderator will keep track of them and will answer relevant questions at the end of the town hall. This live stream will be available for playback on YouTube immediately after the session, so feel free to come back and give it a watch and leave comments and questions if you would like. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to introduce myself. You don't know me, but my name is Angela, and I'm a product owner for GiveWP. I work very closely with Jason here and the team of developers to prioritize work for GiveWP. Jason, want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Angela. My name is Jason Adams. I'm the Director of Development at Stellar WP. I also oversee engineering at GiveWP. Been here with the team for about 4 years and have been helping to spearhead the building of what internally we've been referring to as NextGen. Now we're calling it the Visual Donation Form Builder. We've been building this for the last really 2 years, and we're really excited to get this out for folks to check out, play with, and give us feedback on.
Thanks, Jason. We also have Amy here from Customer Success. You want to introduce yourself, Amy?
Sure. My name is Amy. I'm one of our customer success managers at GiveWP. I work very closely with our customers, helping with onboarding and collecting comments and things like that.
Awesome. Thanks, Amy. Just to get our chat kicked off here, Jason, for those who are watching who maybe aren't familiar with the Visual Donation Form Builder yet, can you give us a brief overview of what that is and how it will improve user experience?
Yeah, so historically, as with a lot of features in WordPress, it was like, if you remember, you had pre-Gutenberg, pre-block editor, you had the old WYSIWYG editor in there, and it was like you filled out forms in order to make your page. You didn't really see what it was going to look like. You just filled out various fields to describe what you wanted, and then you had to go preview and look at it on the front end. And then the block editor was introduced, which then kind of brought together the idea of like, I want to be able to really see and lay out my page and have lots of control over it. And I want to see what it's going to look like as close as possible right now. And so for the Visual Donation Form Builder in GiveWP, we wanted to follow that same exact track, where before, building a form in Give was like data entry. You described your form. Now with the Visual Donation Form Builder, you get to lay out the exact structure of your form. So before, things like, I want to move this field up here, or I want to add a field in between these two, or I want to add a new section. Like, these are all very technical and difficult things to do previously. Now with the Visual Donation Form Builder, it's just drag and drop. I want to add this field here, or I want to move email up here. The form is completely at your control as to how you want it to be laid out. And then above and beyond that, under the hood, we've totally rebuilt how forms work, because we want to come out with even more incredible ways of designing forms and giving folks more control over not just the structure of your form, but also the appearance of your form, so that it can be way more customized to fit your exact needs and brand.
Sorry, microphone issue there for a second. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate that explanation. I'm a visual person myself, so I like that we're leveraging the whole blocks system to make our forms better.
Yeah.
With that in mind, I would like to ask Amy a question. Amy, you work in customer success, and that means you work with our users and receive a lot of feedback on what they need from GiveWP. How did we take feedback from our interactions with our users to begin shaping and eventually building the Visual Donation Form Builder?
Yeah, great question. So as I mentioned, I help a lot with onboarding. I'm interacting with our customers all day, every day. And our customers and users have a lot of great feedback. So I take every single request, comment, everything, And I basically organize that. I'm taking every request very seriously. I'm working with our other development team and marketing team, and I get to basically pitch the new idea. I get to take what our customers are saying and say, okay, yeah, that is a great idea. Let's get it. Let's get it going. Let's make this happen. Um, so there's a lot that goes into it, but basically it's just a matter of looking at what our customers are asking for, making sure that we're prioritizing what our users need as opposed to what we just think are good ideas. We're taking that feedback and making new features directly from what our users are asking for.
That's awesome. Just as a follow-up to that, is there anything about the new form builder experience that you think our users are going to be particularly excited about?
Yeah, so especially like Jason mentioned, it's completely visual. That's crucial for our users who aren't as familiar with code and custom building things. They'll be able to actually see what their finished form will look like as they're building it. That was a big priority because we do work with a lot of charities and nonprofits. Not everyone has a dedicated web developer. So we really wanted to make it easy to use for the novice WordPress user.
That makes sense. We put a lot of emphasis on customer feedback into our decisions at GiveWP, and they help us decide what to do next. And customer feedback is just critical to ensuring we're on the right track as we move through big releases like this one. Jason, would you tell us about the Visual Donation Form Builder beta and specifically the feedback we're hoping to glean from the beta testing period?
Yeah, great question. So all of this, just to give like a little bit of a bird's eye view of like where this crazy train is going, is what we're really building is we're building GiveWP 3.0, and that's going to have a number of new features. The visual donation form builder is arguably the most critical new feature being introduced in 3.0. And we really wanted to get feedback on the donation form builder itself as early as possible. So we didn't want to wait until we had a whole 3.0 beta ready. We were like, this is such a crucial part of how we want to address customer feedback that we'd really like to get this out sooner than later. So we did what's called a feature plugin, which means that it is it's a plugin that you can install right next to GiveWP. So to be clear, you have to have GiveWP core installed for this to work, and then you add the Visual Donation Form Builder plugin, and then you're ready to go. You can go in and you can start playing around with it. There will be a little bubble in the bottom right, which I'll show in just a little bit here, of how to provide feedback. But what we're really hoping for is feedback central to the form builder itself. We know things like we don't have parity with all of our existing add-ons yet, like fee recovery, tributes, currency switcher, like those are all in the works, and those are planned for 3.0. So don't worry, those are being worked on. But the form builder itself, that experience is what we're really hoping to get feedback on as soon as possible, so we can make sure that it really fits customer needs. Because as Amy said, like, we don't want to build something we think is cool. We want to build something that everybody thinks is great and is going to solve real problems.
Exactly. Would you want to go ahead and give us a quick walkthrough, including how to submit feedback?
You bet. I'm going to do something brave or foolish, depending on how you think about it. So this is our landing page for givewp.com for where you can learn more about the feature plugin. There are two different ways that you can grab it. You can either download the zip here just by clicking this button, and then you can use that to install it anywhere you want. Or, and pretty amazingly these days, I think is super cool, you can just spin up a site right now. So I'll demo that. Give my first name, email, click the little button, wait for a second, and boom, there you go. So now I can just click this button. And what that just did was that just completely created a brand new WordPress site from scratch. So this isn't like a demo site used by 1,000 other people. This is a site just unique to me, having clicked on that button, that I can now go play with myself. And so from here, it'll bring us right to the landing page where we get this introduction to the form builder, what's new, the design mode, and custom fields and sections. And then right here, if we just click this button, then we can get right into the form builder. We'll then be introduced to a guided tour that's going to help walk us through every step of the form builder. I'll skip this for now, but I encourage when somebody is checking this out that you go through the tour, and you can just click exit tour in order to, if you want to get out of it early. And then, so here's the visual donation form part, the design mode here, so you can also check out how it looks. I'm not going to get into this right now because honestly, we really want your first impressions. What I mostly want to highlight is that down here, you can click the provide feedback button. If you click this, what it's going to do is it's going to take you to our next-gen form builder candy board. And this is where you can take a look at existing feedback that we've received. You can upvote things just by clicking the little arrow to add, say like, hey, this is important to me as well. And you can also provide a new post. As a note, you don't necessarily have to just peruse this entire thing. If you start typing here, so if I put default currency, it's going to simultaneously search. So that way it'll help me see if somebody else has already reported something like this. If so, I can upvote. And if not, then just finish filling this out, provide details, add an image if you have any, and then create the post. And we will be monitoring this board regularly to try to really make sure that we're aware of all the feedback coming in. It is not a promise that we are going to address every single piece of feedback that comes in, but we are definitely going to weigh and read every single piece of feedback that comes in and prioritize things as quickly as possible, because we got to balance both addressing as much feedback as possible and also getting this out so that everybody can actually use it and start enjoying the benefits of what's coming in Give 3.0.
Yeah, that's incredibly important. Before we get to any questions, Amy, I wanted to ask you, when we're collecting user feedback, what are some of the things that we take into consideration when determining when and how to take action on that feedback?
Yeah, so as you saw, certain feedback had upvotes, which means a lot of people are interacting with that feature request. If the same feedback gets enough activity, that's when we're paying attention the whole time, but that's when we take note. That's when either myself or another team member would build more of a pitch out of that, build more of a plan from that specific feature. So that's when we really encourage, if you see a feature you like, upvote it, leave your own comment on it. We're taking that seriously. And then another thing which kind of determines the time frame is, are you requesting something that requires an integration with a third-party plugin or another company? That could extend how long it takes, but that doesn't necessarily mean we won't get to it. So those are the types of things that we're looking at, like, okay, what's our time frame for this? How feasible is this? Does it fit with, GiveWP's approach to collecting donations online? And then the main priority is this something that our users need to be even more successful with their fundraising?
One thing I'll add to that's really, really helpful when people are providing feedback to us is, like, especially if let's say you're requesting a feature, it doesn't do something that you wish it did. as much context as you can give us. Like, why do you want that feature? What is that going to do for you compared to what's not there now? The more we understand about what you're trying to accomplish as a whole and how this feature fits into that, the better. Because maybe, and we have in the past come up with moments where it's like we don't make that exact feature because we notice a few other bits of feedback come in and we come up with a new idea that addresses all of them. So it's so important for us to understand the why and the context behind feedback that's given. So please do.
Yeah, I totally second that. Not just how many people, but what exactly you're using it for is incredibly helpful in prioritizing and building the right things. Let's see. We did have one question from Marcus Burnett. Hi, Marcus. I know him, so I'm excited you're here. Will older forms be converted automatically, or is there a manual process for this?
That is a great question, and one we get quite a bit because obviously people want to make sure that this is going to be as smooth as possible. So we're going to approach the conversion process in 2 steps. Because starting with the simple fact that we do not want to risk any loss of donation revenue. That's like the heartbeat behind everything I'm about to say is we want it to be as safe as possible because it's just not acceptable for us to, cross our fingers and say, hope it works. Like no, like it can't come at the expense of risking your donation success. So in light of that, the way it's going to work is it's going to be a 2-step process. First is that when you update to 3.0, nothing is going to change. There are no migrations that are just going to automatically happen. It's not going to even try to convert your existing forms. All existing forms that have worked up to now are going to work in 3.0 with no change made whatsoever. Because again, we don't want to even risk problems happening. So when you're ready to convert a form, that is something where you'll click a button and that will create a copy of your form. So I have this old form that we use on our Give page, and now it's going to make a counterpart form. So you'll still have the old one, and it's still going to be what's used on your website on the front end. But it'll make a copy for you. The point of the copy is to go test that out. Make sure that nothing was missed in the migration. Make sure everything works. Update it, tweak it however you want. Then, once you're ready, replace where the old form is on your site with the new form. And then the last step is, and there'll be a walkthrough for this. There'll be a nice button, a clear way to do it. The last step is to reassociate all of the donations that were associated with your old form to the new one, and that'll complete the migration so that this new form effectively replaces the old one, and you don't lose any of any goal progress or anything like that. It's all tracked along. So that's how it's going to work, to have multiple points to make sure if at any point something doesn't go right, if it just didn't convert properly, if you had some custom development on the old form that doesn't work on the new one, you can continue to use the old one and it will work just fine. When you create new forms will be using the Visual Donation Form Builder, but old forms will continue to use the old editor and will continue to work exactly as they do today. So great question, Marcus.
That is awesome, Jason. I don't think anybody is going to struggle with this, but if any of you do, please remember to contact customer support. That's another way we find out if something needs to be changed or improved. If we get a lot of people contacting support, they will definitely pass that along to us. So don't forget that they're there to help you out. I don't think we have any more questions from the crowd, but is there anything you, Jason, or Amy would like to add that maybe we didn't touch on so far?
I think the main thing is don't be afraid to add as much feedback as comes to mind. If you have 10 ideas of what you'd like to see for the form builder, I want to hear about every single one. That's really how we, got this started in the first place, was from your feedback. So don't hold back. Let us know everything.
Yeah, I would just second that. The very reason, like I said, we're putting out a feature plugin for this is because we want feedback so badly. We have had a lot of feedback. We've done multiple town halls and everything, so we're not like this far in and just like hoping that it's going to be a good solution. We're pretty confident at this point. But now it's getting down to the granular user experience of actually getting in there and playing with it, not just the idea of the visual donation form builder. So we've tried our best, as you saw in the demo, to make it as easy as possible to be up and running, checking it out, playing with it, and providing feedback. So please take advantage of that, and we really look forward to hearing from you.
We've got another one. I think it's kind of adjacently related from Marcus. He says, I believe GiveWP is pretty accessible already. Are there any accessibility additions that we made into the redesign?
Oh my goodness, you were like queuing me up with these really like alley-oop type questions. Yes. As I mentioned at one point, I'll try not to get into much into the weeds of this, but forms themselves are rebuilt from the ground up. And the new forms, the markup that we use, the HTML we use, has also been rewritten from the ground up. And every single, the way that it's laid out, the flow, down to field labels, everything has been looked at with an eye towards accessibility. So yes, we've really tried to go the extra mile of really making a lot of improvements to some of the accessibility issues that we had with the existing Give forms. And then, of course, in the visual form builder, by leveraging Gutenberg, because we didn't build this from scratch, but by leveraging Gutenberg, we are also really piggybacking off of the accessibility improvements that have been coming there. I know Gutenberg is not perfect in terms of accessibility, but the good news is, as they make improvements, we will grow right there with them. So yes, in short, all sorts of accessibility improvements have been made.
Yeah, I think just leveraging newer technology and improved technology is super huge with that. Marcus felt a little bit bad about that question, but I think it's coming. Of course, I'm not the one answering. So.
No, it's a great question. It really is a good question.
Yeah, so I think that's all we have for questions. I'm just going to skim the chat here really quick to make sure I didn't miss any of you and give you just a second to throw a last thing in here. Jason, what was that?
While y'all are, think if you have any questions, Kyle, one of our senior developers, is also on this, and he just reminded me that we're also taking advantage of the fact that we're partnering with Gutenberg on building this. Means that we're also being able to contribute back. So as we have opportunities for seeing accessibility improvements or whatever, like, it's a symbiotic relationship where we're able to build this and benefit from them, but we've also been able to give back to Gutenberg. So it's just been a really good experience for being able to also help make WordPress itself better in the process of building this.
Awesome. I think we are all good, and Marcus is ready to take a test drive and share some feedback. So we're looking forward to that, Marcus, and all of the rest of you who have joined us here today. Thank you so much for being willing to take a peek at what we have going on with 3.0, and go ahead, join the beta, take a test drive, give us your feedback, please. We want it. All right, I think we're ready to sign off.
Thank you, everybody.